Hello, this is Chris for Gun and Shot TV, and today I was going to talk about a polymer gun. You see I've got my Glock 19. I'm not going to talk about this. Everybody knows about the fact that Glocks are polymer guns, and in fact, Glock was the first huge polymer pistol, and now everybody offers a polymer gun of some sort of pistol. But with a Glock, the frame and the barrel and some of the internal components are actually steel. The magazine is actually steel covered in plastic. Today, I was going to talk about a gun that you may not have heard of. This is a Remington Nylon 66. Back in the 50s, Remington was looking for a way to make guns cheaper. So they looked at, what takes a bunch of time to finish. Well, the stock was expensive and the receiver was expensive to machine. So they took their mind and tried to figure it out. They went to DuPont, who actually owned Remington at the time, and asked DuPont, do you have anything we could try? And they said, well, we've got something we think you can try. It's a nylon synthetic plastic. And so, they pretty much decided to give it a shot. So it's kind of funny. If you see one of these in a store, it looks like it's got a steel receiver, but this is actually just a sheet metal cover, much like a Henry lever action 22. Underneath the entire action is plastic. It's got a steel bolt that rides in that plastic, but this has even more plastic in it than a Glock. The barrel, the bolt, this cover are all metal, but the rest of it is plastic. It's kind of an interesting gun. It's, at the time, they weren't sure if a plastic gun would sell, so they tried to make some of them look wood grain. So you'll see some in brown. There are some in green. They had Indian names, Apache, Mohawk, stuff like that, for the different color combinations. They also went and did a checkering job and kind of made it look fancy. This is a 14-round capacity. You load it through a tube in the buttstock, which has got a nice indent here. So you can just drop the rounds in and they kind of self-right and fall in. Go a little slow so you don't get any in there backwards. It's got an orange spring cap here that will allow you to see if the gun is loaded. You can see that orange in the action. You can tell it's unloaded. The other thing about it is there is no bolt hole open whatsoever. So that's kind of a little bit strange. And since the action is made out of plastic, they say that you're not supposed to lube it, that the action itself is smoother than anything you're going to lube, and if you lube it, it's just going to cause it to get gritty. So generally you'll hear people say, don't lubricate them. Now, I have actually shot in a little bit of oil in this once or twice when it was so gummed up it wouldn't function. You can take it down. If you take out these screws, it all comes apart. Even the barrel is pretty simple. This screw, once you take the cover off, back that screw out and the whole barrel pulls out. So they're not hard to take down to clean. I just haven't devoted the time to doing it. But interesting guns. You'll see them a lot. Supposedly, they were very well liked in Alaska or bush pilots or people like that, because in the cold weather where you don't want to use lubrication anyways, the fact that the gun was designed to run without lubrication is a great feature. I've got this one. I've got this crappy scope on it. It came with an even crappier scope that I replaced. I don't really shoot it that often because my problem is with the sling, the stock itself actually has a lot of flex to it. And so it's not the most accurate gun. They're neat guns. They run pretty well. They're definitely fun to plink with, but the actual accuracy due to the scope being solid mounted and the stock flexing and all the components moving around, even the barrel can flex if the stock flexes because this is all one piece. So it's a little bit hard if you're holding it steady. I'm assuming bench resting it would probably work pretty well, but even in that case, the barrel is tied into the stock that can flex. So, but definitely neat guns. If you see one for $100, $200 and you want to take a gamble, they're usually pretty decent. But it's one of those things where I wouldn't take it in place of a 1022. I'd get a 1022 first, and then if you want to try something fun like this, definitely be on the lookout for one. They're great old guns. They sold tons of them back from the 50s through the, I think, late 70s, early 80s when they discontinued them. So for Gun and Shot TV, this is Chris saying, have a rootin' tootin' drunken shootin' day. Thanks for watching.